Welcome back to another episode of A Stern Talk. We've got a guest today who I'm really excited to meet. I've heard a lot about you. I'm very interested in this topic. I, for one, know nothing about real estate. Whenever you meet someone rich, right? Whenever you're like, "What do you do?" They're like, "I do real estate," right? And it's always like, I do lending and I do wholesale, or I do flipping, multifamily. I own apartment complexes. And I'm always like, how do I learn more about this? And it's weird. Every time I meet someone that does it and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about it. They're like, yeah, we'll talk, we'll meet up. And that never really, until I think we had the podcast, it never really manifested into anything. Because I don't like going out to lunches and I don't like pitch decks. I don't, time is something that do
already.
It. Do
1
it.
minute and
do
52
it. We're
seconds in.
We're locked in. We're Davis Clark,
Jeez.
bro.
I was going to say that I don't think they want to hang out with you. I think that's the problem. I don't think it's you.
Oh, you don't think it's me, but it is me?
Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, what an ass. I think the truth is that most people who learn something guard it, right? They gatekeep. They build like this walled off garden to protect whatever that they think is unique and esoteric. And they're not really interested in giving away that secret for free. And I think with the advent of Instagram and its connection with ManyChat, right? You build this automation where if you're trying to sell something or give away value, like I'm always telling you to do on your Instagram, but you never take that advice, which is like, type scale in the comments below and I'll send you my free, whatever. Blueprint. Yeah, perfect. I'll send you my free blueprint. And now you see these Instagram influencers and their respective sort of corners of the ether offering up value, delivering value. And I think, my generation, right? And I'm only speaking to what I know, but my generation is always a generation. It's like, I know something, I'm going to protect my wealth because I'm always afraid of giving it away for free and then having somebody fleece me. Like, oh, I'd like to, I'm really interested in, remember we were having this chat about, I wanted to buy this storage unit, storage facility. And Josh was like, yeah, let's do it. But I don't want to talk about it to anyone because I don't want it to fall out of escrow. Right. And so I don't know if that's the strategery of business with respect to real estate, or it's more of just this old school mentality that we have of gatekeeping and guarding what we have. I can see with your generation, it doesn't seem to be like that. You're willing to come on the podcast and talk about something that you understand, that you've scaled, and that you want to share to kind of build this greater community. And who you really remind me of after reviewing your Instagram is Pace Morby. Are you familiar with Pace?
I am.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's an honor.
Yeah. He's a good dude, right? We met Pace at Dan Fleischman's ranch during his 100 million mastermind.
Oh, wow.
And Pace was the most approachable, genuine human being involved or domiciled within real estate that I think I had ever met before, right? There was no
Besides me? Jeez, I'm right here, dude.
Yeah. But didn't it seem like that, Dean?
I think Pace was probably one of the most approachable, most normal people with the biggest audience that we've ever met.
But do you think it's weird how when you meet someone like that and they don't put up a wall, right?
I don't know if it's not a wall. I think he just didn't put up an affect. There was nothing fake about it, right? He wasn't pretending.
I mean, he's like, here's my cell phone.
Yeah.
Which again, right? It's a testament to this newer generation, which is I'm approachable. Connect with me, right? How can I deliver value to you? It's very different, I feel like.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
Right. And so because it's so rare, we really appreciated it in being able to interact with them.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So we're kind of bringing it full circle and kind of closing the loop on who our guests.
You talked about gatekeeping in real estate.
Right.
I think gatekeeping in real estate, and maybe you agree or disagree, but I think it's an indication of smallness.
Talk to me about that.
Because the bigger the real estate deal, the more people are eager to network and create an investment pool and a pool of sort of like-minded people that are going to help them get to their bigger goal. And the smaller the deal, maybe that's where the gatekeeping takes place because you're afraid of someone stealing something.
Yeah.
think when you're buying a 100 or 200 or 1,000 unit building, right, you're looking for people to help you.
True.
And
But
not
who's this
looking to
guy?
gatekeep.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, kind of brings us full circle, right? Which is like,
I don't even know this guy.
Yeah. What does he work on, right?
Yeah.
Are we talking about bigness? Are we talking about smallness? Are we talking about some mediumness, maybe?
but like when I see
figure it out.
when I see your social media and when I meet you in person, it reminds me of this gentleman who I met, right? Which is Pace Morby, who doesn't gatekeep, doesn't have this walled garden, wants to share what he knows, and is eager to build a network.
Absolutely.
Right. And so that sort of brings us full circle to who our guest is today, which is Chris Luna, the king of ADUs. We always give monikers to people. Kevin M, real estate prophet.
Is that why he's wearing a hat that's like the crown?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you self-proclaimed king, or did you name him that?
I
Was
just
that
named
it?
him the king of
Oh,
ADUs.
okay.
I've had people call me the king of ADUs.
Let's go.
I'll take it. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, the king of ADUs.
Do we get a crown, Tyler?
Hey, Tyler, do me a favor real
the
quick.
thumbnail
Check,
for sure.
check
I like
Instagram.
that.
Check Instagram, see if that profile is available.
You just got yourself an Instagram, a website,
There you go.
a new business.
King of ADUs.
King of ADUs.
A
Yeah.
little crown graphic in there.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. Pace has got the Gator community,
Yeah, with
right?
the gator.
With the Gator.
Got the peace sign.
It's open.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well,
There you
you're
go.
going to take it.
Okay.
You're going to take it. That's your homework for today.
love
Build
it.
another Instagram profile.
Done deal.
So what we like to do on the Stern Talk episodes, we'd like to give you guys the floor. Give us your origin story. I know you're a young man, but give us the origin story of kind of how you got to where you are today. Don't take it back to like, well, I was in the bathtub and when I was 6 and I had this idea, but like, you know, take us through like, okay, well, some people chose college and I chose this, or give us the origin story.
Yeah, I will bring it back a little bit. I mean, when I was younger, I was always hustling. I was selling C's candy bars and flipping them. So buy them for $1, sell them for $2, right? So I was already wholesaling before I knew what wholesaling was. Let's see, lemonade stands. I was always just a hustler, like buying basketball cards, flipping them, always just trying to make money. I think when I was younger, I saw in the household the struggle of my parents paying bills on time. There was always fighting about that. And so I always just figured I got to learn how to make money. So fast forward, going to college, I started a cell phone repair company.
Okay.
That company I ran for 10 years, had a store on campus at San Diego State, one in Pacific Beach and one in Mission Valley. And those stores were doing really well. I was making a lot of money, but what I found myself doing was I was working paycheck to paycheck still because I was making all this money. And then I'd go and spend it at nightclubs or, living the high life in my in the 20s. I know.
Okay. What clubs are we
We're
hitting
talking
at?
Omnia. We're talking, Las Vegas, the best clubs in the world, Coachella, like all those events.
Okay.
That was my life.
And you were just like the money would come in.
Yeah, I just thought I was
then
a
the
big
money goes
baller
out.
already. Yeah, I didn't understand how to make money while I was sleeping. And once I figured that out through real estate,
Right.
then I started to see the wealth accumulate and, you start multiplying money, right? You take 40K, you turn it into 400K in 5, 6 or 6 years. So
Yeah.
the cell phone repair business was good, but I figured I don't want to sit there and fix phones all day. And so I started moving into buying homes around San Diego State. And anywhere in the 92115, if it was across the street from campus where I went to school, I would buy all those properties. I would have Redfin notifications on. I would try and get those into escrow the second they'd hit or prior them hitting the market. If a for sale sign would go up, I'd call the agent and try and buy it. And I started one house at a time, partnering with friends and family, and slowly traded up into multifamily development deals, which is the stage I'm in now. Again, just private capital, my own money, and I keep 1031 exchanging into bigger and better deals. And just slowly but surely, it's just grown over time. And that's kind of my origin story.
Awesome. And what year did you start?
2016, I bought 2 properties back to back, 5510 Dorothy and 6105 Dorothy. So I was wiped after that. I had no money. I was actually a little nervous. I think I did like a private money loan for like $19,000. I had $20,000 saved up. I took my 40K and I bought my first property. Then I had no money and I was like, what am I gonna do? So I waited a few years, and then 2019, when I got my real estate license, that's when everything really took off.
So 3 years later.
Yeah.
So what did you do sitting on these 2 properties on Dorothy, you said?
Dorothy, yeah.
So what do you do for 3 years? You're sitting on these properties. Are they rented out?
Yeah, mortgage is $2,700, probably renting them out for like $6,000. So we're cash flowing $3,000 a month per property. And the ADUs that wasn't a thing yet. It wasn't until like 2018, 19 where we start hearing about it.
Right.
We call it the Wild West back then. We had no idea what was going on. Like the city didn't know what was going on. My architect was confused. I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so 2019, we start getting plans approved, 3 or 4 months. We'd build these things in another 3 or 4 months, rent them out. But 2019, that's when I got my license and I started just buying nonstop because I would take my commission and roll it back into the deal. And so I'd get a free little, 20 or 25% equity, and maybe my business was doing good. I'd take another 20 or 25% equity and I chop the deal up with a friend or family member.
And how did you have this idea to do it close to school? Was the idea that you understood the lay of the land surrounding SDSU and how in perpetuity kids would need space to live, and it was sort of like, take me through that real quick.
Yeah, so I look for barriers to entry.
Okay.
And so you have the Highway 8. I think we were just talking about this. You have Del Cerro. Students don't want to live north of the Highway 8. They want to walk to campus. So you have the Highway 8 as a barrier to entry. And down Montezuma, it's either left or right. There's not many places to live. And what we identified, I remember when I went to school, I didn't necessarily want to be in an apartment complex. I want to be with 5 or 6 of my best friends in a home so we can just have that college experience, right? Have people over.
Throw parties.
Throw parties,
Yeah.
of course.
It's kind of hard to like wedge, shoehorn 30 girls into an apartment, right?
Yep, not happening.
No, but it's a lot easier to, what's that?
Get one. What are you, 30? How'd you get to 30? Jeez.
Yeah.
So,
But that's because, you want to charge people at the door, right?
yeah.
But the ADU idea sounds amazing. What's the sort of generative story behind the ADU idea?
Yeah, so when we started, it was build one ADU in a backyard. 1,200 square feet is the max you can build. And with student rentals, you rent by the bedroom. So I'm renting these things out for $1,200 a bedroom. That's a $4,800 increase in rent as long as I get this thing built and rented to students.
How many rooms can you fit in an ADU?
A four bed, 2 bath, a little tight. But for students, it works.
Yeah.
So if it was like a family neighborhood, I'd probably do like a 3 bed, 2 bath in 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
Help us imagine what this looks like. So you've got a home on a fairly small lot. Maybe it's 7,000 square feet.
Yeah, 5,000 to 7,000.
Okay. And so where does the ADU fit?
So what I'm looking for is a house slammed all the way to the front setback. A setback is basically where the cars park, right? You can't build into that. You have the house in the front, and then you just have a big backyard space right behind it. Wherever you can fit it so that you're not building into the setback is where we would fit them. The floor plate on it is 30 by 20, so that's 600 square feet on the bottom, 600 on the top. So it'd be 2 stories.
Oh, this is a 2-story ADU. That's genius.
Yeah. So that's the student housing play. Works very well. What has happened in the San Diego State market is prices have increased so much. I was buying these things for $550 to $700,000, $800,000. Now people are sending me deals and they're in the millions, so they don't pencil out as well. Still money to be made there, but I've just grown up into what we call the bonus ADU program, where as opposed to building one ADU, I'll go and build 15 to 20 on a multifamily zone property in San Diego. And so now you get into the multifamily development space using ADU city code. And so that's kind of the loophole in what we're working on right now these days.
Amazing. I mean,
You just said a lot, and I think you lost half. You lost half. Did anybody else feel lost?
well, I mean, I want to understand, like, what's the price per square foot to build one of these things?
Yeah.
Does it feel like a normal apartment?
Yeah, is it like $400 a square foot to build?
No, if you're going 3 stories on these multifamily developments, we're about $305. It is for 2 stories, probably like $230, $235. Those are what my contractors.
Why is it so cheap?
I don't know.
How do you
Like
do
a
that?
container?
I've been using.
We invite these people from El Salvador, and they come here for 3 months, and then they build it, and we send them
Check
home.
this out. When I started building in the beginning, it was
They stay. Okay.
$180,000 to build a 1,200 square footer back in the day. That was like below $200 a foot.
Oh my God. Why? I've single-handedly missed out on everything. I've missed the mortgage boom. I've missed the Airbnb boom. I've missed the e-com drop shipping boom. Now I'm finding out, thanks to Chris Luna, I've missed the ADU boom.
You haven't missed it. We're just getting started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you coming to my neighborhood? Because because I would love to
Chris.
see a 3-story ADU right next door. So for me, this is like a NIMBY thing, right? This
Not in
sounds
my
amazing.
not in
Let's
my
do
backyard.
it. Just not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Because if it's in my backyard, a couple of guys named Boris and Ivan are coming over to your house, and they're gonna have a conversation with you about
This is
these ADUs that you're
you know
building.
what? This is so funny. It reminds me of that thing I saw on TikTok or Instagram, the squatter guy. Where he, like if you have squatters at your place,
yeah.
what was
He'll
that
take
guy's?
care of 'em.
I want to drop that guy's info down below. I forget what it's called.
in the
but
LA Times, yeah.
he brings his crew of squatters to squat in on top of the squatters that are squatting in your spot.
No way.
Yeah,
They
just-
compete for the squatting
yeah,
space.
like you just the squatters walk in, they're like, "What the hell are you doing here?" He's like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, but I'm guessing what I'm bringing up is not unique, right? This is part of the.
It's part of the game.
Part of
I
the
mean,
challenge.
someone just commented on my post the other day, like, stop ruining our neighborhoods. I get it from time to time. And it's part of the game. I mean, San Diego needs 9,000 units, I think by 2029. They're at like 1,000 right now or something like that. And so they're pro-development. They're all for this. And we're just utilizing code to A, make money and also solve it's not solving the housing crisis, but we're definitely making an impact if we can provide units.
So, do you liken yourself to kind of like this ADU Robin Hood, or is it more nefarious than that?
That was a good one.
Yeah? I like to come up with stuff on the fly.
That
That's
was
why
good.
people like me.
That was good.
Few. Several.
More than two.
More than two. I appreciate that. Like, how do you, like, when people ask what you do you start out by saying, well, we've got a housing crisis in San Diego, and then you kind of go into your shtick, which you've lost us all on anyway. I don't even know what he said. I couldn't even repeat it. Usually I can repeat things like a parrot. But like, how do
You
you
stack a bunch of containers in a backyard. Did you not hear that part?
No, they're not
And then you
containers.
invite students to live in them.
Are they
No,
containers?
no, it's ground up construction.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. God, how rude, Dean. So anyway, they're containers. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think there is a guy who's using containers
I think
to
so.
build
I think it's doable. Yeah.
to build
doable.
multifamily housing in Barrio Logan.
Yeah.
He's doing an amazing
The
stuff.
problem with those is you're just not going to get the value on the property.
Yeah.
It needs to be fixed to the land to get the loan you're going to want on it, so that you essentially have no money in the deal.
Yeah.
Again, probably getting a little confusing for you guys, but yeah.
Yeah. So take us through, because I sort of want to understand. So we've talked about the kind of origin story and how you started as a sales guy, right? And I think in order to be a good entrepreneur, you have to be a guy who sells something, right? It's never the guy who's come up with an idea, whether it's software or healthcare or whatever. We talked about this on an earlier podcast yesterday, which is like, the people who make money in life are the people who are willing to like put their foot through the threshold of the door, force the door open and be like, here's what I'm selling. And so you've taken us through kind of the origin story. You've told us a little bit, albeit it's kind of over my head confusing, about what you do. Talk to us about going from like a lemonade stand and fixing cell phones
Yep.
to having a real business. Because I think a lot of times when you're hearing these stories on podcasts, people are like, you hear this story a lot, which is like, well, here's how the anecdote works. I started selling lemonade and I was fixing cell phones, and now I sit on top of a $40 million real estate profile. And people are like, what? Sorry, what? Right? And I think where we don't want to lose the viewers is like the evolution of it all, right? Certainly like within that evolution, there were trials and tribulations and obstacles, and there were lawsuits, and there was like, I'm out of money, and friends and family, they're not delivering enough value for their money, right? Hey, why isn't this deal sold, right? Like, you've had my money for 90 days. You're like, well, to get a loan is 30 days. Escrow could be 60 days, right? Like, gosh, this inspection came in and said that there's water coming up from the ground into the foundation of the slab, and now we've got to like take us through at least one horror story on how you went from I bought 2 properties on Dorothy to where I am today.
I would love to.
And go slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love
I'm
to.
stupid. I really am. When it comes to real estate, I'm
Yeah.
so stupid.
So it's, this actually wasn't too long ago. This is a few years ago. I was going after a very, very big deal. I had just closed 3 apartment buildings in Pacific Beach. I was super excited. Closed those deals. I was fired up. I was like, oh man, I can continue to do this. And so I got a little ahead of myself, and I tried to buy an $18 million apartment building in Pacific Beach. And
How many units?
it was 39 units.
Okay.
I was in Grant Cardone's real estate club, and he was teaching us how to do this stuff, and I was feeling exceptional. I had just closed 10 million, and I know we're not talking about my early days, but this is a real story that people can learn from.
Cool. From lemonade stand to
Yeah.
$30 million real estate deals. It sounds logical. Okay, take me through it.
Okay, so
You too can do this.
Yeah. Just comment viral down below, and I'll
you
send
go.
you my guys.
Send Grant Cardone a check.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going after this deal. I get
Stormy.
awarded the deal. There's probably 10 huge investors throughout the city of San Diego.
Did you just say you got awarded the deal?
Yeah, like so.
Okay. You can't, again, this is the whole glossing over the details. We got enough time. There's the stage time. We're at 21 minutes. We got plenty of time. What does that even mean? I got awarded a deal.
So there's a lot of people going after this deal. We're talking some of the biggest investors in town.
Like BlackRock or something?
No, more so like this guy's got $1 billion worth of real estate. He's a big fish. I think his name is Waz Properties. I know he was going after that deal.
Don't drop his name, bro. That's free advertising for him.
It's fine. He's an old guy. He's retired. He's good.
Almost dead.
Yeah, something like that. So anyways, I get the deal. Like the agent chose me out of all the buyers, and I get the deal. I'm super excited, and I got to put up a earnest money deposit.
Okay.
So,
You still didn't explain. What does it mean you got awarded? Why did they like yours more than Ras Al Ghul? Was it because that you were willing to pay more? Was that the guy's name?
yeah, I was willing to pay more.
Okay, so they thought you were stupid.
Yeah, he was at like 17 million, and I think I came in at like 17.5. It got bid up, and I definitely was overpaying.
Okay,
It was a lot of money.
gotcha.
And I had to put up a deposit to show them I was serious about
And
the
this is
deal.
the earnest money.
Yeah, earnest money, correct.
So what does an earnest money deposit look like on a $17.5 million?
It was $500K.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that like when you put up that earnest money, is that done like as like a bond, or they actually want cash for escrow?
So you wire that into escrow, and then they hold it there.
Okay. So you have to have $500,000 liquid.
Yeah,
Okay. And did you?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, it wasn't liquid. I had it in equity in another property that I sold fast.
Okay.
I was sitting on a property by San Diego State, right time, right place, picked it up for $925,000. This developer owned the next two. I think he ended up getting the next three. So I knew he wanted to pay 1.7 for my deal. So I was like, look, man, now's your time to strike. You want this property. It's the last one on this block you need on College Avenue by San Diego State.
Yeah.
If you buy this, like you can develop it. So he paid me 1.7. They closed fast. I got my cash and I rolled it into the big deal.
And is that a 1031 exchange?
Correct. Yes.
Interesting. Because I know there's some guy on Instagram. He's like the king again, defaulting to the
king.
But he's like the king of 1031 exchanges. Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay.
My buddy.
Yeah. I've seen his stuff before. I'd like
He
to
just
meet
did
that
a
guy.
1031 exchange for me last week.
Oh, interesting. Okay. But this is like a real thing. He's like, do you know this guy?
I think I've seen his Instagram.
Okay. I've just seen his Instagram. I don't know anything about it. Can you explain what a 1031 exchange is?
Yes.
We can call Brandon too. We've done calls before.
Yeah. So you sell a property and you have some proceeds, you have some money, and you roll that into a bigger and better deal.
So it has to be a more expensive deal?
I believe so. Or something about the loan has to be bigger, something like that. This is not tax advice, but yes, technically.
Brandon, does it have to be bigger? He says yeah.
He says yes, yeah. Bigger and better.
Yeah.
And I believe it has to be same asset class. So if it's single family, you got to go to single family. If it's investment, you got to go to investment.
Okay, so the place that you had on college was single family?
Investment.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Was it-
investment in, but that I was going from single family to an apartment building.
Is that allowed?
I don't know.
Better call Brandon.
I better call Brandon. Well, I didn't close that deal, and that's where I was getting with the story.
Yeah.
So that deal, interest rates went up, I think 3 or 4 times in the span of 90 days.
What year was this?
2022, September.
Okay.
Yeah. And so interest rates went up. It was very tough to raise money. I went too big, and I actually lost $500,000. So it's not as easy as people make it look. Like you can lose money too. Lost $500,000. Luckily, the seller, after pleading with him for a couple months, he ended up wiring me back $250,000 to just help me out because he felt bad after he closed.
So
with the
he
new buyer.
kept $250,000 of your earnest money deposit?
Correct.
And this is the $17 million deal.
$18 million deal, yeah.
And so it fell through.
Fell through. I didn't close.
Yeah.
So your EMD, poof.
Yeah. So,
It's you using all these fancy acronyms.
Yeah.
EMD, or earnest money deposit.
but my point with this
I'm
story,
tracking
The
you,
Gator
bro.
method.
but the point with the story is sometimes people go non-contingent to get awarded the deal.
Yeah.
That's how I got the deal. I forgot to mention I went non-contingent.
There we go.
Right? So I do that often, but in this case, I didn't have enough capital to actually close it. I would do it on a little $950,000 home, go non-contingent, get the deal. Not going to do that ever again on an $18 million deal unless I have the equity ready to go. So if you're taking notes, that's something. Maybe don't go non-contingent if you don't have the equity to close.
You should be wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah. That's wild.
On the crown.
How old were you when you lost $500,000?
22, let's see, that was 22, so 2 years ago. I was 33.
Did you have kids at the time?
No kids, still no kids.
Still no kids.
Yeah.
Because he lost his money.
Yeah.
Lost my money, man.
Yeah. Start a family.
Unreal, dude. That was the money.
Don't buy real estate.
Yeah. Shout out to @Don't Buy Real Estate. What a great handle.
And would this deal have been in the ADU world, or was this kind of unrelated?
There were some garage and parking spaces. Full circle, 2 years later, there's a silver lining to every story.
I thought you were going to say full circle, lost another $500,000
Today.
Yeah. That's why I'm here. Yeah.
So full circle, I lose the 500, which becomes 250. He gives me 250 back. I'm good with that. I move on.
Sounded like a 2-bit fucking pirate, if you ask.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he gets me the money back, and I'm like, well, I don't want anyone else to make the same mistake. Let's start using social media. Let's pull back the curtain, like we were talking about earlier, and show people what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
That led to using social media a lot, quite a bit. And that started a coaching program, backyardbillionaire.com. Shameless plug.
No.
Plug
all day long,
all day.
dude.
So there we teach people in a group mentorship in a Zoom setting how to underwrite deals, how to find deals, deal, debt, and equity. Basically, in layman's terms, how to close a deal.
And what does it cost to be a member of the community?
We charge $5,000. That's 2 Zoom calls per week. That is the video course, or people can do it themselves and just do the video course.
Yeah.
And that's $2,000.
The video stuff, do you use Lightspeed? What do you use?
No, but I know Brad Lee, that's like him, right?
His
Lightspeed.
platform, yeah.
I use School right now. It's been good.
Oh.
Hormones.
Dude, shots fired, bro. Well, listen, shout out to Brad Lee, who I think not only is a friend, but runs a better platform, which is Lightspeed. The difference, I think, between School, which, these are all LMSs. The difference, as I understand it, in LMSs between, let's say, a School or Teachable versus Lightspeed is the ability to make decisions within the platform, right? So it's like, you watch a video and then it asks you questions, you answer it, and then based upon your answer, it takes you to another video. And I think that is a way of really firming up and engendering a better form of understanding with your students, right? As opposed to just, all right, well, this is the next video, right? So it's not necessarily a choose your own adventure, but it's more of like a more holistic way of teaching to ensure that the topics that you're covering in the videos are actually being memorialized, right, by the actual user.
Yeah.
To the extent that they've watched it, they've understood it, and now maybe like the mentee can actually teach the topic, right? They're so well versed in it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here as an affiliate for, but shout out to Bradley. I love Lightspeed. I think it's a tremendous platform. I don't know Alex Hormozy. I don't get paid by Alex Hormozy to promote anything. So, but Brad's a friend.
Very large muscles.
Yeah.
His wife? Okay. And we're back.
And on that bombshell.
And we're back.
Yeah. Trevor, can we get some bombs, please? Tyler. I say Trevor? Who's Trevor? Tyler.
That's my pickleball
I-
buddy, Trevor.
Oh, is that what it was? You put that in my head? All right. So we came full circle. We've got backyardbillionaire.com.
.com, yep.
Which is $5,000. You get access to 2 Zoom calls per week.
Yep.
You have access to all the
Underwriting tools, calculators, anything you need to do deals.
Yeah.
There are students doing deals in that community today, so it's been great.
Yeah.
But the full circle moment was, the social media led to the coaching program. but I end up doing deals with some of my students. And I just closed 2 deals on
like
that
pace.
same street, Grand Avenue, over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So that's the full circle moment, was to close. Basically what we can build there is 20 units and then 9. So essentially 29 units up the street, closer to the beach than the original $18 million deal I didn't close.
Oh,
That's the full circle moment.
let's fucking go.
And when you say build units, are you talking about ADUs? Or you're talking about fresh sort of multifamily?
Yeah. So you guys asked that earlier, when people ask what I do, how do I describe this? And so I don't really consider it, a lot of people want me to lean into this whole ADU development thing. That's great. But what I see myself actually is a multifamily developer, building 2 to 3 stories high, anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe 20 units based on the best zoning possible in San Diego. So I just look for the zoning. And if I have the right zoning, I know I don't have to jump through all these hoops. I can just go and build it by right.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure the audience understands. Again, are we going back to a single family residence that we're buying that has, I forget how you described it, but it's very close to the street with a large backyard that we can then enhance? Or are we talking about a fresh build? This is just land that we're going to...
Yeah, I'll show you 2 options. On Grand Avenue, for instance, one was just a piece of land. Nothing was on it. The zoning was RM25. What that allowed me to build on that property was anywhere from 15 to 20 units, ground up construction. The other deal I closed on Grand Avenue was a single family home in the front and then a duplex in the backyard, so a 3 unit. And then so I'm adding 6 units in the center part, kind of like what we were talking about, setback in the front. So, house in the front, duplex in the back, build 6 units, 3 stories high at the beach. So a lot of different plays here. I look to see, apples to apples, which makes sense. But usually I'm looking for big lots on single family homes on big lots, or like 2 to 3 units on a multifamily zone property.
Can we circle back on the community aspect?
Yeah, it was super interesting.
Yeah, that was really interesting. So it's backyardbillionaires.com. And we talked about sort of what you get. You said Zooms. Are there meetups? Like, do you own a website like follow chrisjluna.com and it just shows like the users like where are all the meetups and it like a schedule so they can like...
Yeah, I don't have... I have school, and like the school has the calendar. We do a meetup. The meetup's called Margarita and Mingle, last Thursday of the month.
Oh.
That's for real estate entrepreneurs, anyone, business people. It's just a free event.
And where do you host it usually?
That's a gas lamp at Teco Besso. So I think it's like 6th Avenue. It's been pretty good.
That's where I met him.
Yeah, the last event we had 100 people. It was pretty good, right?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. We have one coming up, I think, next week.
Okay.
Thursday.
Gotcha. Okay. So cool. So do you find that at these events, right, these community meetups, are people actually getting out there, putting themselves out there, being, what's the word I'm looking for? Being vulnerable and saying like, well, I've got this opportunity, and I need some investors, like, or are you seeing that people are gatekeeping and like, this is like an opportunity to flaunt or showcase, or even they've got their own community and they're joining to kind of steal your community? Because everything can kind of go wrong. Just when you think you're building something, as you've said, right? What can go wrong will go wrong. So I'm interested in understanding, because these meetups and communities really in and of itself are a separate business, right? It fuels growth amongst the community and obviously for you as well. But what's the lowdown and dirty about building a community?
That's a great question. And I've seen it because to build my community, I've went to a lot of events. I spent all of end of 2022, 2023 going to Grant Cardone events, Ryan Pineda events.
Ooh, I want to talk about those.
So
we'll circle back on that. Yeah.
And so I met a lot of people there to expand my brand. And so when I'm doing Margarita and Mingle, I do see other people who have communities showing up to my events. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, though, that abundant mindset. I don't mind sharing the people who are in my community with you, because maybe there's some symbiotic thing we can do. Maybe you do hotels and I want to get involved in that space. So I'm good with it.
Yeah. I like that attitude, right? No fear of scarcity.
Yeah.
No scarcity complex. And how long has the Margarita and Mingle been going on?
6 or 7 months. I think this is our 7th month.
And they're all free events.
They're all free. We pay like $500 for food, and we just cater that. The food flies off. It's gone fast. But
you've done an event where Pineda came to speak. Do you remember that?
That was Blair. I think he spoke at that
I spoke
too.
at that. Yeah.
So interestingly enough, a quick backstory. I didn't know who it's Pineda. I didn't know who Ryan Pineda was. I was at an airport at a JSX terminal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And one of these guys was like, I don't know who it was like, that's Ryan Pineda. We should go talk to him. So, I went up to talk to him and he's like, sure. Yeah. Just reach out or whatever. And then funny enough, he was flying from Vegas to San Diego to do some speaking event. I think that's where
That's where we spoke. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. So, insofar as growing the brand, would you say that it's essential to have this community? Has it become a headache or is it a gift? I'll give you
it's very
an easy out.
It's very fulfilling to pour into people for an hour. Because early on,
does it feed an ego or is it feeding an end?
Good question. I thought maybe it could be an ego thing, but no, I think that
not a vanity play.
No, not at all. I think this is what I've learned from it. When I started buying deals, like I was telling you guys in 2016, I had like 15 different investors. It's kind of a headache to text this guy, email him. It's just a lot going on. So now what I do is I hop on a Zoom call and some of my current investors hop on that same Zoom call and I'm transparent. So people trust people who are transparent and I lay everything out. Like, what am I doing? I'm doing this deal. I'm doing that deal. So now my investors have an opportunity to get basically coaching, but they just hop on the calls and I tell them what we're doing. So a way for me to, instead of saying something and explaining it to all 15 investors, if they just show up to that call, I can be coaching and say something once and have that same impact. So it's a way to scale what I'm doing.
So are you opening up your network of investors to other people within the backyardbillionaire.com community?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Trying to do deals with.
That's a huge resource, right? Because a lot of people want to join a community, right? And a lot of times I feel like there's like disappointment. Like they join and really what's going on, we've seen this before. Don't you wink at me. Are you winking? No, he's not winking. But you join a community and what you end up getting is some secretary procured a ChatGPT script. And that's what you're getting on this weekly call, right? But I'm finding out that there are some great leaders with communities, right? And they're opening up their network that they've built, of trusted whatever, marketers, investors, et cetera. They're opening it up to the community and the community is finding tremendous value, not just in what you're saying, but sort of who you're bringing to the table. That's Dan Fleischman, right? With his Money Mondays group, that's what he does. Like he brings in I think it's 4 calls a month and it's on Fridays or something at 4:00. And I think one of the most interesting parts about what he does and what Chris does, right, is they bring in influencers on these calls, right? These influencers, investors, C-suite type folks who can not only that you can not only relate to, but you can also tap, right? Because, in building a network, right? Sure, everyone needs anecdotes, right? To kind of like, this is how I made money, this is how I lost money, right? But also it's like a resource is what's needed. So you talked really quick about investors and how you bring the investors within the community on these Zoom calls. Can you tell us a little bit about how you built this network of investors? Because I think a lot of people who are going to watch are going to be like, okay, well, he explained sort of how he went from lemonade stands to bidding on a $18 million property. But what he didn't say was like, what he just like let his fingers do the walking and like he just typed in real estate, like hard money investors into Google. Can you walk us through that real quick?
To put some context behind it.
Please.
We're talking about, if we're talking about 10 or 15 investors, we're talking about $1.5 million property. I think everyone can understand why a community might be helpful because you've got people that might want to put in $10,000, $25,000, $50,000. And when we're talking about a $17 million purchase and we're talking about even 25 or 30 investors, we're talking about a whole different accredited investor enchilada that you are going to have to raise at a much different level, right? Where you're describing some of this as kind of coaching the investors. I'm guessing at that level, the investors are probably coaching you.
They're very sophisticated at that level.
Yeah. And so we'd love to kind of hear about both scenarios.
Yeah,
Please.
Yeah. So early on, a lot of my business partners early on were my fraternity brothers. So I was in community.
Shout out to
Sigma Alpha Epsilon.
SAE?
Yeah.
Let's go, dude. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't an SAE.
Oh.
You were in a fraternity that has generated, I think, the third most billionaires.
I was.
Which one was that?
Sigma Alpha Mu.
Sammy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had SAE on campus. I went to UCSD.
Okay.
But SAE had gotten kicked off campus.
Yeah.
So even if I wanted to, I don't think I could have joined SAE.
Sammy's claim to fame is Steve Wynn.
No, there are others.
Oh, yeah, but he's the biggest, I think.
No.
There's someone bigger?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
bigger. The founder of Qualcomm was Sigma Alpha Mu.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I think Steve Wynn's got a lot more money than that guy.
What? No.
So I think Jacobs maybe has like $1 billion or
Fact check me on that. Erwin Jacobs versus
Forbes
Steve
400.
Wynn. Yeah. But SAE is a great fraternity.
Yeah.
So talk to us again, right? Like, all right. So first investors were your fellow
Fraternity
SAE.
brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so what I look.
So work with friends.
Yeah. Sometimes. Okay. Yeah, you know.
Guy gives me. He leaves me on red all week long. This is the worst guy.
Are you guys friends?
Listen. Thank you, Tyler. Steve Irwin? Jeez, no. Erwin Jacobs. Erwin. Oh no. Oh, are you freaking kidding me? Erwin Jacobs coming in at $1.2 billion.
Wow.
Dollars. Steve Wynn 3.4. Ding 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 ding.
Not that huge a spread, but
Yeah, actually it is. It's a Grand Canyon divide. Yeah, absolutely. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was always looking for people who were W-2 and had steady paychecks, because the real estate investor, he typically writes everything off or maybe can't show income. And so if you have someone who has a nice steady paycheck, maybe it's a nurse or an engineer or doctor. In this case, Kevin was a lawyer and he had 2 years pay stubs and he got the loan. So I was always looking for someone to get the loan and I would do the work. That was the trade-off.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so
Interesting.
that's what I continued to do with a lot of different fraternity brothers. And then it turned into, friends of friends. But let's see, who else were some other investors?
Generally, you don't want to let lawyers into your circle. I've just learned that. I think they're just litigious people in general. But that's awesome that you have found, a different strategy, which kind of goes to show
if you do one deal well with someone, like me and Kevin, I think we probably did 5 or 6 deals. I'm pretty sure I probably made him a millionaire through real estate, and he was pretty hands off for him. He was up in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
He brought in his other buddy who was a lawyer, and we bought a few deals together.
Nice.
Again, probably so.
And Chris, just to clarify, when the lawyer is investing with you and sounds like he's taking the loan on, is this guy looking for long-term income, or is he looking for appreciation to get out of the deal? You guys are looking to make some money.
I think those high income earners who are pulling in, let's call it $200K a year, they're looking for the depreciation. So they want to offset their earned income at their day job so that he doesn't pay taxes on $200K. He wants to pay taxes on, $50K.
So they park the money, right? They get this loan, right? So help me understand. They get this loan. Mm-hmm. You're servicing the debt for them.
The tenants, let's see, on a particular property, the tenants would pay $7,200 in rent. We'd have a mortgage of $3,000.
Yeah.
So the tenants would service the debt, and then we would keep the cash flow or just let the account build.
Okay.
And your pitch to them is, we're going to 1031 the heck out of this thing, and we're going to be long-term investor partners.
I would say early on, I was telling people, we're in it for the long haul.
Sorry, I'm calling Brandon.
Yeah, there you go. I do have a long-term mindset, but what I've found myself doing is I commit to deals, and then it's a situation like where I sold the property on College Avenue. I didn't want to sell, but I took that money so I can roll it into the big deal. And so I often find myself calling Brandon, hey, I got a 1031 exchange.
Absolutely.
I don't want to, but I get forced in these corners. And maybe that's something I just got to learn to do, is take on less and just grow slowly and keep the properties and cash out, refinance, and just borrow against them when rates are down.
I've got another question.
Yeah.
This kind of goes back sort of full circle, the Pace Morby thing. So, within his community, he's got this whole like Gator community, which is centered around this concept of creative financing, which is basically someone owns a property, right?
That's the sub 2.
That's sub 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gator is the financing of EMDs.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
Which I just did one of those.
Damn.
I guess I gatored.
you gatored.
Yeah.
It's a verb, right?
Maybe you can
or it's
explain
an
it to us.
adverb. Yeah. Well, wait, that might,
Yeah, get in there.
Tyler, drop a bomb. Eventually, we're gonna get one of these soundboards.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's got this thing and it makes this dropping bomb thing.
That'll do it right there.
Yeah, I don't think we can. Yeah, I don't think we can do it because that would be like copying Brad. We need our own sound.
Something original.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
Maybe like someone crying.
Someone crying?
Yeah.
No. This is a good thing.
Oh,
This is a good thing.
Got
Okay.
it.
So my
not a
question,
good
my question was, you were talking about the community and the financing, and then we talked about like creative finance with what Pace does. Have you ventured into this space where, as opposed to bringing in investors and having them take on the mortgage and handling the debt service through the rental income and that type of thing, have you done a creative finance deal where the owner of the property is essentially giving you, you can explain how it works, but as I understand it, it's like you take the deed, right? And then they're self-financing it to you, right? And then you're paying them or the bank, right?
Yeah.
The mortgage payment each month. You're assuming, right, the risk of the property, right? And that's what the subject to sort of, yeah. So have you done one of these?
That's crazy you asked that because 2 days ago, I just closed a seller finance deal on Grand Avenue. It's a land deal. And so he didn't have many options to finance and to sell it.
It's undeveloped land.
Yeah, it's undeveloped.
Got it.
And so he owns it free and clear. We paid 1.45. He seller financed. He, as you said, acted as the bank for
Right.
The original term was 80% was going to be from him. 20% I had to come in with equity.
And that's 280 grand or so.
Yeah, exactly. But I got lucky. I negotiated with him. He couldn't provide clear title for months. So I'm just sitting waiting and we couldn't close escrow. So he finally got this affidavit signed and I said, look, man, I've bought a lot of deals over the last 2 months, kind of running out of money here. And so he went from 80% leverage to 85%. So I only had to come in with 15%, which was like 200 and something thousand, which was nice.
Yeah.
What is it? It was 24 months, so 2 years, interest-only payments, 6%, and biannual payments. So I only pay him twice a year, $37,000 payments.
Wow.
Pretty stoked. In the meantime, what am I going to do? I'm going to go get plans and permits to build 15 to 20 units there.
Yeah.
Or we'll see. I don't know, but that could be the plan there.
Yeah. And in order to develop this piece of land that you just acquired, you said 15 to 20 units. So we've got 1.4 mil to acquire the land, right? And it's interest only, like you said, for 2 years.
Yep.
What is the development of 15, 20 units going to cost? And then where does that money come from?
Yeah, great question. The plans and permits on that deal alone, let's talk about like architectural fees, surveys, testing the soil, fees with the city. It's gonna be about $150,000.
Okay.
The construction to build that, let's call it, anywhere from $300 to $350 a foot. It could get to $350 depending on exactly like what you're building and outdoor space and all these different things. With coastal commissions, you can only go 30 feet high, so you can do 3 stories. A construction loan like that, we work with this lender who will finance 100% of the construction, which is actually unheard of.
Yeah.
He's got a pipeline that he only works with a few people, and so that's a nice. Basically, once you get in the deal, if you're using him after we get out of the seller finance, then that could be very.
So if you need 100% financing for your next development, right? Join Backyard Billionaires.
There you go.
And you might get access
because they can partner with me and
this
I have
investor.
access to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
What's the
Appreciate
cost of funds? on something like that?
That was a good one.
Yeah. I'm a Jew. I have the mind of a champion.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
What's the cost of funds on something like that? When it's 100%?
Speaking of Jew.
I just
I'm also
you're saying cost of funds?
yeah.
I think he charged me a point on my last deal, like a point of the loan, so 1% of the loan amount.
But the construction loan at 100%, what is it? What's the interest rate look like on something like that? Just educational.
Yeah. Right now I'm in a loan for 9.25%.
9.25.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Let me ask the most Jewish person in this room. Good deal, bad deal, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Charging you a point?
Well-
9.25%? That's not bad.
I told you this guy's.
I'll give you a half.
Construction loan 100%.
Yeah. Listen, is that unheard of?
No, it's on.
It's hard to find.
It's hard to
It's
find.
usually going to be like 80%, and then right.
Yeah. My guy's good too. You got to meet my guy.
Okay. Well, listen,
He's
if
getting
any of
first
you guys,
position on this loan, right?
if anybody watching, especially on the Instagram live, Chris J. Luna, right? If anybody wants access to this lender, they need to join the Backyard Billionaires.
Backyardbillionaire.com.
Backyardbillionaire.com community. Badass barbecues, badass meats.
Got everything you need.
It's a shout out to Brad Lee.
Yeah, Brad Lee. Brad Lee owns the world. You'll find that out. You'll be like, I'm thinking of buying a barbecue in Vegas. You're like, okay. And you're like, why is Brad Lee's face plastered everywhere? Because Brad Lee owns it. So, it's just, finding the right opportunities, which it sounds like for the last, you started this in 2016, as I remember, right?
Yep.
Right. So here we are sort of getting close to a decade almost in business, right?
Yeah.
And you've built up this network of people you can tap. And I love how you're leveraging social media. I love how you got the community, because I think these are all, it's funny. In building a traditional corporation, you have departments, right? You've got HR, you've got sales, you've got marketing, you've got accounting. In this new generation, I don't know if are you Gen Z?
I don't know.
You're young.
35, so.
Not that young.
I don't think he's a millennial.
No?
Right?
No, I think you're
Millennial?
Millennial
That
still?
sounds about right.
millennial. Okay. All right, cool.
Gen Z's even younger. It's like 27 or something.
Yeah. So whatever, but like this newer generation of people that are building and scaling companies, they're doing it in a very like unorthodox way. They're tapping these resources that I feel like when we were building companies, we didn't really have access to. And so it really is born out of this, at least seemingly, out of a resource, which is social media. And it's like interconnecting people, and it's become the super connector. You've taken it one step further with the community, and now people are able to essentially have access to these departments within companies, right? Without having to pay this heavy overhead, right? Like an office building with all these employees that serve all these purposes within your corporation. You've got investors, right? You have, a community. You have all these aspects of what a large corporation is. And I'm sure there are headaches. I would love to hear some headaches before we finish today. You've told us about obviously losing $500,000 and then
250.
yeah.
250.
Well, the story sounds a lot better when you say it. When you
I
say
think Chris is like a socialpreneur. Right?
Is that a new word?
I just invented it.
Socialpreneur?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Basically describes kind of the millennial or Gen Z method to building businesses, which rely on social media to streamline a lot of the processes that we had to do the traditional way when we were in our 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
But we're learning, right? We're doing this in our 40s. So figure it out.
Talk to me real quick, Chris, about the role of technology in sort of building this community. You've talked about school, which is Hormozi's product. What about like when you post on social media? Like, are you this guy, right? Who I think is a brilliant social media. I want to say this right. I think the secret to the universe is knowing the true names of things. I think he's a pioneer in the type of content that he has on social media. And he always says, well, I only will post if I think I can deliver value, right? So talk to us about how technology through these apps or through social media has helped deliver value to the people in your community or even prospective people that may join the community.
Yeah. So I read through a lot of other real estate influencers posts, maybe Pace Morbius, right? And I'll see what people are commenting and what people are asking. And then I'll literally act like I'm talking to that person. I'll answer his question, whether that's on my broadcast channel on Instagram. I give a lot of free tips there.
Yeah.
Or if I pop on my story real quick or I'm leaving a caption, I'm just just giving like what we started the show off with, just pulling the layers back, peeling the curtains back and just telling people how to do this. Because when I was kind of learning the game, people were really quiet about what they're doing. And I just always wanted to like share it with a lot of people. So
Yeah. Do you have things like guides and blueprints and like, do you ever find yourself like, well, hey, listen, this is a spreadsheet that I use in order to calculate whether or not this is going to be a good investment. So in the comments, write like spreadsheet and I'll send you free access to my Google Sheet that I use. Do you ever do stuff like that?
I think I have, but I need to lean into it more. We have a ADU blueprint, development blueprint that people just type in their email and we send that to them. So that's helpful and it's a way to build email lists. So then when I go live or I have a podcast drop, I can retarget and push that content out. That's something I'm working on, like developing the systems, kind of like how you guys have everything like set up here. I'm
Shout out to Tyler. Shout out to Lev.
I get to turn the content into like a business. Really.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's like the toughest part, right? I think that's where you are, right? He does flips. He invests in real estate, even though his social handle is Don't Buy Real Estate. He's got a fund, right? But now I think what he's starting to realize is that like he's wearing too many hats. And so now is like that pivotal inflection moment, right? Where you start to realize that you can't do everything.
Yeah.
And so you just have to start hiring, right? So is that where you're at in your life? Or, are you managing your own social media?
Yeah. Well, I had Brandon doing it for me for a while, and yeah, I post a lot of my own stuff, and I feel like it's helped me connect with my audience more when they see something that's from me, and it's not just like someone from the Philippines chopped up what I said and then added it into.
Shout out to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm half Filipino, so I love the Philippines.
You get it. Yeah. But you want to deliver value.
Yeah.
And the best value comes from those who build their personal brand. You've got to be the face of it.
Yeah.
But the automation, the technology component, that's what I want to understand, which is like a course, right? Which I think is the next frontier for you. We've talked about this. We had dinner with, Robert Croak.
I don't know.
No, look him up. Shout out to Robert Croak. I think it's at Robert Croak. He was in LA filming a course, and it was 2 days back to back, 10 hours each day of filming for his course. But again, right, you can't accomplish these large format, sort of aspirational projects, right, without support. So talk to us about what the next stage of Chris Luna looks like. Where it's like, all right, I'm doing all my social media. That's fine, right? You're the face of it and you should. You also do all your social media, but you have help, right? Shout out to Rolo. What is that?
Yeah.
The next stage, right? In the evolution. What does that look like?
I think people are yearning for like raw behind the scenes. What we saw on social media was a lot of like info and knowledge and like, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. A lot of people like teaching. And I actually think people want to see that like that vlog style, Gary Vee style, behind the scenes, someone kind of following me around. Like I would hire someone to follow me all day and be chopping up my life and just show me. And then people are going to connect. They're going to connect with me drinking Celsius, with the fact that I have a Rolex, with the car, whatever I have, family man. And if I show people all sides of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, I think that's how you become a Brad Lea, for instance.
Interesting. We have this new project that we're launching called Buy the Flip. And we're going to be following real estate investors and developers.
Nice.
And it's one project per episode. So if that's something of interest to you, reach out to Josh. We bring the crew. It's of no cost to you. We'll do the whole production. Usually what we do is like, we'll film, the beginnings of the project in one day, follow up sort of middle of the project, and then right, once it's ready, right, we'll do another day of
that sounds great.
Yeah. So reach out to Josh. Shout out to Josh, Don't Buy Real Estate. I love how he tells everybody not to buy real estate.
So he can buy it all. Smart dude.
Smart.
We're at an hour, which I think is like the perfect amount of time to get that initial sort of sample of who you are. Any other questions? Are we good? Okay. I think we did fantastic. I think you did remarkably.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for being here, Josh. Thank you for inviting him. But yeah, Chris J. Luna is the social handle. And then obviously his company or his community is backyardbillionaire.com.
Yep.
Backyardbillionaire.com.
Yep.
So join if you're serious and you're looking to buy real estate, you're looking to invest in real estate, you want access to resources and investors. Chris is a great dude. Shout out to Chris Luna for being here today. That's a wrap.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Adios. Bye, guys.